Hi everybody, hopefully I'm going to be back for tomorrow's lab, but today we are going to be doing our last entry ticket for chapter 12 here on dilutions. So today I want you to copy down the question at the top of your screen. You can see it here where we're calculating the final concentration of a solution. And using the steps I have given you here, try and answer that question. So I'm going to let you take the first 5 minutes of class or the first 5 minutes of your homework reading and trying to attempt this homework or this entry ticket. Okay, so now that you've taken those 5 minutes, let's start by making a table and making sure that we have all of the things in the right type of right type of units. So the first thing is we need to know what the dilution equation is. So the dilution equation is M1V1 equals M2V2. This is something that you definitely need to know for this upcoming quiz. The first M stands for the molarity that you start with. Your first V stands for the volume that you start with. And if you can guess it, the M that has a number 2 next to it is your molarity afterwards, or your final molarity. And same with your V here, it is going to be your final volume. Sorry, that ran off the page. But you have your molarity, volume that you start with on the left and how you finish on the right. So setting up our table, let's see what the question says. So I'm going to start by reading it from the left. Water is added. It doesn't matter, okay? The fact that it's water, it isn't going to change how you are going to approach this question. What you really need to check out are molarity and volume. So the identity does not necessarily matter in this equation. So you have your first thing that you hit is 0.150 liters. So liters should be screaming to you. That's a volume. So I'm going to write that as a volume. And then you say of a 6 molar hydrochloric acid solution. So that should be telling you right away it matches, this M matches an M that we have in our equation. So that's going to start with our M1. And it says to give a volume of 0.5 liters. So that must be our second volume that we've run into. And I'm just going to make a little bit more space, so I'm going to erase a little bit. So that'd be 0.500 liters. And our last thing that we have is M2. We do not know what the final molarity is in this question. So the fact that it's saying it's calculating the final concentration, that's another way of saying M2. So anytime you're looking for your final concentration after you've written your table out, you should have your M2 being the only one you do not know. Now we need to rearrange our equation. So we're going to start out with M1V1 equals M2V2 because that's what we have up there. And we're going to try and solve for M2 because that's the one that we need by itself. So remember, we're going to use opposite operations. So if you use opposite operations of multiplication, that should be division. And whenever that happens on the right side, that's going to cancel out both of your volumes. And on the left, you're going to end up with the following. You're going to end up with M1V1 over V2 equals your final molarity concentration. Finally, you're going to end this one by the plug and chug, just like we've ended many of our equations in the past. We've done all the rearranging, we've set up our tables, making sure that we don't need to make any conversions. And you can see from our table that all of our units are matching. So we should be good to go there. We're going to plug and chug. So M1 is 6.00 molar times V1, which is 0.150 liters, over your V2, which is 0.500 liters. And now let's make sure that all of our units cancel and we're left with the ones that we want. So if you look at moles or molarity, we are left with that one. That one doesn't have any other ones, so we are left with that one being uncanceled. And if you look at liters, there's liters on the bottom, there's liters on the top, so those are going to go away. So you're left with molarity, and that is exactly what you need for this this problem. So you're going to multiply what's on top and then divide by what's on your bottom, and you should get something close to 1.80 molar of HCl. Now, make sure that you do have 3 sig figs, as you do have 3 sig figs in each one of your units that you've put into your equation. So you're going to have 1.80, making sure that 0 is significant because it's after that decimal point. So you have a total of 3 sig figs for your final answer. So today you're going to be working with this idea of dilutions and how you're going to add more volume and cause your molarity to change, or your concentration to change, based on if you're adding liquid or you're taking away liquid. So we're going to do questions 46 through 50 even. Make sure you remember what the question is asking of you. So if the question is asking something about concentration, you should be left with one of your M's by itself. If it's asking about how much volume is left, that should be in liters or milliliters. All right, that's it for today. So go ahead and get started on that, and I will see you tomorrow. Answer key is already up on Rediker.